Yeah, I'm hyped. I've had a really enjoyable time playing all these different games that Riot has released, well, particularly Legends of Runeterra.
Oh, man.
We're back to League of Legends. This is our focus for today, and we are, still running 4G Champions. We have 5 teams left in total, 4 teams still in the bracket looking to face Fnatic Rising and try and topple their legacy. 3 trophies so far in the UK from Fnatic Rising this year. They're trying to get their 4th.
And I mean, that's what we're playing for here, to take out Fnatic Rising to make it to the top of 4G Champions, but also for Barrage, this is a real pride piece for them. They made top 4. They're still in that relegation zone, so next week they have to play in the relegation tournament, and there's only 1 spot for next year of the UKLC up for grabs. So these teams are now going to be battling it out for that spot.
Imagine the confidence boost if you won the whole of 4G Champions and then you go into relegations like, I've got this, I've got this.
Well, if you want to get yourself involved in the conversation, you can actually head over to our Twitter, LVPUKLOL. Get using yourself that hashtag Forge of Champions if you want to get yourself involved in the conversation and any of our polls and conversations we've got going on over there. And if you want to watch any of our previous videos and things you've missed, games from Forge of Champions or even the summer or spring splits of the UKLC, you can head over to our YouTube channel, LVPUKLOL. LOL? Yeah, there's a LOL one there.
There's a LOL.
LVPUKLOL, and you can watch all of the good games and goodies from there.
Yeah, and I actually have a question for you if you want to tweet at us. So obviously we have 5 teams left. If anyone's been playing Legends of Runeterra, if you've had access to it or been watching it, I want to ask you, which region would each team come from? So, there's the Shadow Owls, there's Demacia, there's Freylord, all 8 of those. So you got to, try and work out, where do you think Eminem's from? Where do you think
Phelan have to be Freljord, right?
It does make sense.
Yeah, I feel like they're Freljord.
And then Diabolus would probably be, I guess, Shadow Isles, or would it be Noxus?
No,
that's the question for you.
Oh, that's hard. That's actually a really good question. I want to see what you guys say. I might put my ones up on that bit later.
If you really want to step it up, you can combine decks. You can say.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
So you can sort of say a combined answer to this one and this one.
Well, if you want to get involved in that, make sure you tweet at me and Orcs because I want to see what you got and LVP UK LOL. Let's have a little look at the bracket because we've had a week off. Let's refresh our memories and where the bloody hell we are. So, coming through into today's matches, we have Barrage versus Diabolus and Phelan versus Eminem Gaming. Barrage have had a massive run all the way through to make it this deep into the tournament. All of our other teams are coming from that second part of the tournament. So, Barrage, you've got a tough challenge now versus Diabolus, versus the Devils themselves, but if they get that win, they make it to the finals and they're 1 step closer to taking on Fnatic Rising. But man, if I'm Eminem, you've seen XL get taken out and now you're looking at your only real challenge is Fnatic Rising.
But you have to say they're against Phelan. We saw what happened in the playoffs gauntlet. Phelan did manage to beat Eminem there. Could be that kryptonite.
Yeah, Phelan did have that incredible run. But let's have a little look at the plays from last week and see exactly how our teams got here. The plays, the action we had in, not last week, the week after. I keep saying last week as if it was last week. We've had 2 weeks since.
Yeah, the time off has kind of muddled our brains a little bit, but a lot of big plays coming out from a variety of players. Unfortunately, Diabolus once again came out over Demise, but it was standout plays from the likes of Fury, the aggression here on this Cassiopeia, and this is a pick he has relied on heavily throughout the 4G Champions, picked it whenever it's been available to him, which is 3 times so far.
Yeah, this guy's been picking this up so much. I can't believe he pulled this play off. Actually played so incredibly.
I don't think Demise could believe it either.
This play was pretty sick as well, because Singh showed us that actually he's not just a support one trick. He can play a bit of the AD carry. And D.Va, this was...
It's range perfect, though. You see how close those shurikens were to actually hitting him?
Yeah.
There. He would have just gone down. A pretty tight play, but in the end, it was Barrage who came out of Fnatic. And then Enclave against Eminem. This was a moment where I felt like Enclave should have won the game. But then Eminem managed to come back, and it's Chibs going for this massive amount of damage here. Only Angel as well. He was monstrous in this series, and honestly, for me, was the MVP of our last week of play.
Well, Only Angel, just since joining Eminem, has just honestly been stellar to watch. He's had such a great rise here. I've been saying it since summer. This guy hasn't really hit the mark for me so far, but he is on a team with Chibs and Only Angel. It's quite hard to be the standout player when there's a lot of standout players on Eminem. And I want to see who's going to really step up to the plate in their matchup today. As we are also seeing Phelan take down Envision, because this is the team who will be challenging Eminem later. The likes of Chimera really impressed me during the gauntlet run of the UKLC. He's now up versus Chibs. This is a player who, won Rookie of the Split in spring. In summer, again, was a pretty decent AD carry. Mid laner as well. AD carries Yusa.
Yeah.
But yeah, standard play.
And I think a big part of it's going to come down to draft. We've obviously seen, solo lanes are heavily reliant on counter pick. We saw Only Angel have a lot of confidence, even blinding the Camille in that game too. But with Chibs, he has a pretty volatile champion pool. There are things that if he picks, you can take counters into it. And I'd be interested to see that because Chimera has shown he's willing to flex a bit in response.
Well, speaking of Chimera, he is in fact our unsung hero coming out from last week. 6.0 KDA, the man was on fire. If you want to get yourself voting in for the unsung hero, for the player who doesn't earn MVP from us, but earn MVP in your heart, at the end of today's show over on the Twitter, we'll be putting a poll up for 4 players who you guys at home can vote for your unsung hero.
And I feel like this week we have so many games where it's very difficult to sort of call the winner because Dabblers have looked great, but against Demise, who traditionally they've always beaten, Barrage looked sloppy, but it was against Excel. And on the other side, MNM Feeling, on paper, people always have favored MNM, but historically, Feeling have shown that they have had their number in this matchup. And I feel like we have 2 really close series today, and then it's just going to culminate with tomorrow's games as well.
Well, our first series of the day is going to be MNM versus Feeling. MNM being pretty much a clear top 3 team for the entirety of the UK scene this year. And we need to see if they can actually make it to top 2 now. Now XL are out. Now Barrage have done them a favor and taken out one of the top teams. It's down to them to see whether or not they are going to be able to make it up versus Fnatic Rising. But Feeling have proven to be a stumbling block for them time and time again. So let's introduce our rosters and see the players representing both of these teams. Starting up on the blue side, it's Feeling, Bedry in the top lane, Soft in the jungle, Chimera mid, a Chu AD carry, and Jeppo, let's mess that up, is support.
Yeah, and on the side of MNM, we have Only Angel, Nalty, Chibs, Yusa, and Shogun. No changes there for the roster from summer, but still looking better than they did. I mean, there were definitely some moments of light during their summer season, but they weren't able to do as much as we expected. We called them the LEC sister team killer, and although they did in the final week, it just wasn't, it was too little too late.
Yeah, but they were the only team to kill an LEC sister team until 2 weeks ago, when we actually had Barrage take out XL. But can they do it again? Can they actually take out Fnatic Rising and make their way to the top of the Fudge Champions? I was saying top of the tower, that's not there anymore. But like I was saying, Feeling have been a team that have been historically a team that's challenged them quite a lot, quite a few times over here. As we head into picks and bans, see what both of these teams decide to take away from each other. I'm really excited by this jungle matchup and this mid matchup. They're the 2 ones that are really jumping out to me to be exciting.
And I think jungle mid is always going to impact the rest of the map because obviously if you get an advantage there, you can translate that pressure to bot lane, to top lane. I feel like Chu and Jeppe had really solid week together, their first time we've seen them perform. Yusa and Shogun less so, but we know historically what they can do, just what they can offer as a team. And we very quickly see Feeling target some bans with the Gragas and the Akali. On the other side, MNM, going for some more standard power picks. Pantheon, interestingly enough, has 100% presence at Worlds. It was played once in play-ins. Every other game it was banned.
I mean, Pantheon is so strong at tower diving because of the power of the shield.
And the global pressure, the fact that it doesn't fall off like late game because you have so much burst potential and also that essentially invincibility that you can offer. We see the LeBlanc again banned away from Chibs, so really hurting MNM's champion pool. Do you see the Cinder come out? Something interestingly, Xayah not touched. So that Xayah Rakan is potentially available if a team wants to pick it up. Feeling gonna lock that one in pretty quickly. So now MNM, you have priority pick on jungle and mid if you want it, but I feel like being on red side, they may well leave counter pick for later on. The question's gonna be, do they want to deny the Rakan, or are they gonna counter with something like, the Caitlyn Morg, or potentially the Veigar is available for use to play. It is pretty good in the Rakan because it shuts him down from being able to go through the cage.
It felt like MNM were ready for that.
Yeah.
They got that Veigar instantly locked in. They've got the Lee Sin to go over it as well, so Nalty able to assert some early pressure here. Now, there is the chance that Veigar does go mid. It'd be a very risky blind pick, but you expect them to be, this is our bot lane counter for the Xayah Rakan. And now Feeling, they're actually going to counter by not locking in the Rakan. They're going to go for the Pyke because Veigar Pyke is filthy into Xayah Rakan.
They deny the lane, and Pyke is going to have less issues than the Rakan with dealing with a cage. You are quite mobile. Even I know Rakan seems very mobile, but there is a little bit of delay. You need someone in range or the W. You can't get caught out. Pyke is pretty easy. You can just do your deep water death to avoid stuff, dash away. The interesting one for me is the Hecarim. I was thinking maybe he goes for a Rek'Sai or an Olaf.
Oh, there it is.
The big thing with a Hecarim is that you can be unstoppable when you use your ult. If you want to get on top of the Veigar, it works great. And then obviously you've seen the Qiyana locked in. Second highest presence pick at World's group stage. Massively influential, can be played top or mid, and provides a lot of AD threat for the team.
Also, high priority in the UK scene. Pretty much banned most our games so far during Forge of Champions. Chips finally gets his hands on it. The last time we actually saw the Qiyana in the UK scene, it was Chips playing it, and he had a stellar game. It was during the playoffs. He did lock it in, and now we're at the ban phase 2. It's the Cassiopeia, the Renekton get taken away by MNM. Phelan counter out by banning away Only Angels Camille, and a Fiora, so split pushing. Not going to be an option for Only Angel here. What has been left open for him, though? There's so many top laners taken out.
The thing is, you don't need to pick it now. You can just take your support in this situation. You know Phelan's bot lane, so I feel like Eminem can answer and leave Only Angel to counter pick. Some of the options have been cut down. Fiora not available, Camille not available, but in response to Renekton not being there means there are less good blinds available for the side of Phelan, and I hope this is going to be a lock-in for the Thresh. I really like Thresh with mages because one of the big issues with mages like Syndra, like Veigar, is their immobility. And Thresh with the Lantern, he provides a get-out-of-jail-free card for them. So it's a good pickup from Shogun, and he had some strong performances. The Kled, I like as a pick because it offers a lot of engage potential. Again, if you're looking to punish this Veigar...
no! Is that an AP Malphite mid?
AP Malphite mid, yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited. Also got the Kled as well. Phelan's comp is so explosive. This is going to be a really, really fun comp to watch if it gets going.
They are looking to kill the Veigar. They have so much backline threat in their composition. It's really difficult to play against. And because the Kled's been picked and the Fiora's been banned away, and the Renekton, traditional counters for it, essentially Only Angel just has to go for something that can offer laning power against that. But the Kennen will be useful in team fights. It's going to provide a zone of control to try and peel for the Veigar. But when you look at the side of Phelan, there is so much dive potential. There is so much ability just to jump on use on this Veigar. And Eminem have to play in the team fight so well if they want to keep him alive. I think for me, the critical thing is you can't let this game get to, the 20-minute point without a lead. You picked up the Lee Sin and the Qiyana, really strong level 3 champions. I want to see Nulti and Chibs pop off on these, because on the other side, we said we want to highlight this mid-jungle, but Phelan have invested in more late game. Hecarim, AP Malphite, massive team fighting champions, but they aren't going to be able to go toe-to-toe in the early levels. So I am looking for Eminem to have the advantage early, but they need to get that lead and close the game out, because if they keep things even, when it gets late, they will just get destroyed.
This looks like such a fun game to watch. I can't wait to get going with this. See how both of these teams are going to fare up against each other. I mean, Yusa, I said I haven't really seen a stellar performance from him so far. So he goes, you know what? Screw AD carries. I'm just going to play a mage in the bot lane.
I mean, I like the mages in the bot lane. I like the flexibility, but this is one of the issues that I've seen them have consistently, is that you can pick compositions that can just run them down. You look at the meta AD carries at the moment, you have Lucian, Ezreal, and then the forefront two, which is that Kai'Sa and that Xayah. I mean, even Tristana, all of them have an element of safety, a get out of jail free card. You do not have that with things like Syndra or Veigar, which is why teams have been able to draft against them and go, right, we are going to punish your immobility. We're going to shut you down, especially in the bot lane, where it can very easily turn into a 5-man play bot. There is that element of vulnerability. So I feel like it's going to massively come down to Yusuf's positioning, but also what Shogun can do on this Thresh. His ability to peel, his ability to use lanterns to sort of get him out of sticky situations. But again, mid-jungle is where I'm looking. You pick Qiyana, you pick Lee, especially when they pick them in the first rotation. That is, to me, Chibs and Nulti saying, we are going to take over this early game. We are going to provide an environment where Yusa isn't threatened because we're so far ahead. And that's what I'm looking to see in these early levels.
Question for me now then, let's look towards this top side, because Bear Tree, fairly new to the UK scene. He's been in, came in towards the end of the UK, so I think he's in for like the last 2 weeks of the show. Only Angel joined for the entirety of the summer split for Eminem, and he had an incredible showing. We saw some really good stuff from Bear Trees. How do we expect this lane to go? Are they going to be an island? Is it all going to be about the 1v1? And who takes over and when, really?
I mean, for me, obviously, the early pressure is going to be favored towards the Kennen. He has a range advantage, often runs things like Klepto and just hammers you down. you have to be a little bit careful because the Kled has good gank setup if he lands that bear trap in the rope. But realistically, you play Kennen because of its safety, because of its scaling in team fights, and also because of its range to harass. I expect only Angel to have the pressure, but also be difficult to punish unless they bring the jungler or even more numbers. And the issue for me is that when you play Malphite mid, you're pretty useless to level 6.
Yeah.
And essentially, I feel like this is going to be a pocket of pressure where it's going to impact the rest of the map. So like in a different situation, you could sort of bring your mid laner up to help with that pressure, punish the Kennen. In this situation, it's not going to be possible. And if they make moves towards the top side and they overextend, very easy for your Kiana to come in and just clean up the entire fight. So for me, only Angel favored. The map state will favor him because of the pressure mid. I think that Beartree's just got to wait for his opportunities, wait for those moments where he can punish, which may well just be in the team fights.
And one of the things we also saw from the junglers, because we did a little review before we came in, looking at early pathing from both the junglers. Obviously, it's a fairly small sample size because, you know, the tournament hasn't been running that long. We've only seen one game each from both of these teams. But we did see both Soft and Nolty actually opt for a fast clear and then look to go towards the bot side of the map as well. So maybe further isolating that top lane as they look to try and put that pressure down on the bot side of the map. And I feel like in this matchup, especially how volatile it can be, if you can get either the Veigar or the Xayah ahead, you know